Hey guys, welcome back to my sewing channel. Watch today as I make this super quick, easy checkbook wallet. You can see it is designed to hold a checkbook register, a pen, and a checkbook. This one also has a duplicate cover here, which you can omit if you decide that you don't want that for your checkbook cover. So enjoy. So let's cut out our materials to make our checkbook cover. If you want to make just a regular checkbook cover, no duplicate or anything like that, you're just going to cut out two pieces, and we need them to be 6.5 wide by 7.75 inches tall. And then if you want to add a duplicate cover, if you have checks that have duplicates, this is helpful. You need a 6-inch wide by 2.75 inch tall piece. And then you also need that same cut in vinyl. It's kind of hard to see, but you get it. So we're going to lay that on top of here. And what the vinyl does is it makes a stiffer writing surface so that the writing on your duplicate check is more visible whenever you use it. So to get started, I'm going to take my lining piece of cork and I'm going to make some marks. I'm going to flip it over to the wrong side and I'm going to make a mark in 2 inches, 2.78, 2 7/8, geez, 2 7/8 inches from the bottom edge here. And then I'm going to flip and do the same mark on this side, 2 7/8. And then from here, I'm going to scoot up and do a line at 3.25 from the bottom edge, but I'm just going to mark it here in the middle because this is going to be the pen slot and I just need to know how long to make my lines. So flip it back around, 3.25 from this other end. So right now we have 2 7/8 from each top and bottom edge, and then 3.25, or you can just measure 3/8 inch up from this first line on both sides. I'm going to turn it vertically and I'm going to measure in 2.5 inches from this left side and make a mark connecting these mini middle lines. Same thing, flip it. There we go. And then I'm going to make 2 more lines here. So I'm going to come in 1/4 inch from this left side edge and just make cross marks. There we go. So we've got a 1/4 inch here, and I just want to demarcate where this long line here meets up with this 1/4 inch. I'll do the same on this side. So this is what you should have now. Okay. And then I'm going to take my hole punch. This isn't necessary, but I like the way that it looks. And I'm going to punch out a hole right here on this, let's see, right there where those 2 lines cross. I'm going to punch a hole on those X's on all 4. Perfect. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my clear ruler and my rotary cutter, and I'm going to connect those dots. And this will become the slot that the back of the checkbook slides into. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out, excuse me, these lines here to here. And that's going to become my pen slot. So just the vertical lines that were measured in at 2.5. Alright, and then because sometimes my rotary cutter, I can't get all the way to the edge without cutting through, so I just go back with my scissors and just make sure that my line is connected all the way to my circle. And if you opted not to use a circle, just make sure that your line goes all the way to that 1/4 inch mark. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my pen slot. I'm just going to snip and make sure that the cuts go all the way to that line that we made above the slot that the checkbook will go into. So this is what we have now. We have the 2 pen slots here, and then these slots are where the check will go. So the next thing I'm going to do is get my trusty Beacon fabric tag. And I'm going to glue, let's see if I can get you closer here. I'm going to glue everywhere around this middle box. I do not want to glue inside that box. My glue is clogged. There we go. So if you can tell, I glued everywhere except for that middle box. And now I'm going to grab my outer body panel, outer main panel, and I'm going to line up all the edges best as possible. Looks like my cutting was a little off. And glue that into place. All right, so because, well, never mind, I'll do that next. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip one edge up and glue all the way around the edge. And then lay that back down, glue that into place, and then flip up the opposite edge. Oh no, I glued it the wrong way. Wah, wah, wah. There we go. Let's try this again. All right, so I'm going to go back and trim up my edges here because I've got some weird overlap going on. To make sure that everything is nice and flush. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my vinyl and my duplicate snap and just clip them together. Vinyl on top of the right side of the cork. Okay, so I'm going to move to the machine and I'm going to top stitch around this duplicate snap, and then I'm going to top stitch around the whole exterior, or no, I'm not. I'm not going to do that last part. You'll see what I do. I'll explain. All right, so first what I'm going to do is I'm going to top stitch just around 3 of these edges. I'm going to start down here at one of the angled corners, come up, but being sure to back stitch here, up and around, and then I'm going to stop down here on this corner. I'm going to leave this unsewn for now. If you have a Teflon foot, this will sew right over the vinyl. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is sew, this is the lining panel. You can see where the cuts are here, right there and right there. And then the pen slot is right here. If I can get my little finger here. There we go. So there's the pen slot. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start stitching down here above this bottom opening, and I'm going to stitch all the way across. I'm going to come up, and then I'm going to stitch about 3 stitches up and come all the way in to this pen slot opening, stitch up the side of it, and then back. It looks like a giant H whenever you turn it this way. But so that's how I am going to adhere this middle section here and this middle section here to the main panel. If you wanted to, you could do a little monogram design or just like crazy stitching. I just show them on my website with the big H, so that's how I'm going to stitch. And so when I'm stitching next to these openings, I just want to be 1/8 above it. Then I usually stitch to that 1/4 inch seam allowance around the edge. And of course it's kind of hard to tell because I use the same color thread, but you can kind of see where my stitch lines are. So the whole point, see a little better. So the whole point of this is to make sure that the lining and the outer are together. So the next step is I have my corners on my vinyl here. So I'm just going to jump back over to my cutting table and cut those off real quick, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so I have my glue here, and what I'm going to do is on the edge of the duplicate cover that I did not stitch, I'm just going to do a very little bit of glue just along that bottom edge. So you can see the glue. And then I want to figure out what edge is going to be the bottom of the checkbook cover, which mine has the brand on it, so this is going to be my bottom. And I'm going to glue my duplicate cover in place. I'm going to center it, just eyeball it, center it, and then let the glue settle. Then what you're going to end up with is just a 1/8 gap here from the duplicate cover to where the checkbook will actually go in, and then this up here will be the area for the, what is that? The area where you write all of your checks. Isn't that the register? Yeah, this is duplicate, that's the register. Aha, I know things. So yes, so you'll have this section up here and then this section down here for the checks. And if you don't want to do the duplicate cover, you would just not do this step, and then we're about to do the last step. So now that the glue has settled a bit, what I'm going to do is just start stitching down one long edge. And I'm going to stitch down the angle up and over onto this duplicate cover here, being sure to put a few stay stitches here and there along my travels, across and down. And then the only other thing is that whenever you're coming on and coming off of the duplicate cover, you want to make sure that you do good stay stitches there. And then, yeah, you just stitch all the way around. Pretty simple. As always, I'm using a 1/8 seam allowance. And there we have it. One checkbook cover with duplicate. So whenever I'm done, I just kind of put my thumbs in here, or you can put a pen through there and then fold it. And you can see when it folds, it's making the pen holder. Then you just want to fold it and line up all of your edges and just finger press it really well. And then I usually put something heavy on top of it and it trains it to stay closed. And then there you go. One checkbook cover. The last step that I would do would be to cut off any overlaps if there is any. I would burn the edges and then I will glue like I do on everything else. If you want to see the video of the glue that I use and how I apply it, join my Facebook group and I will show you there. So the last thing to do when you complete your checkbook is to put all your stuff in it. So you slide just the cover of your register into the top. A lot of times what I'll do is I will cut off a section of this back manila piece before sliding it into the bottom section. That just helps with the register, or with the duplicate cover, just helps everything nest nicely. And then so if you have a checkbook with duplicates, you would just pull that up and then write, let's see, page of the order of me. I'll just go with a cool million. Oh, I did that in the wrong spot. And I wrote 1,100,000. I can dig that. This doesn't have a duplicate, but just imagine that it looks great. And then, yeah, your pen slides into the pen holder. Perfect. And then once it gets nice and trained, it will stay closed on its own. Or another thing that I do is I add a little snap tab here in the bottom, and then I put the female section on top. Female? Yeah, I don't know. I add a snap tab if you want it to stay closed with that. But yeah, so there you go. Thank you for joining me this evening while I made a very quick, super simple checkbook holder with a duplicate cover. If you have any questions, comments, would like to see any other type of short, quick accessory videos, let me know below. And if I have a pattern that I'm willing to part with for free, I will make a video. Never hurts to ask. Anyways, so yeah, be sure to hit the subscribe button somewhere around here on the screen. It's the little black circle that has my narwhal in it, and that will alert you whenever I put out new videos. And let's see, check the description box below for any details that you might have missed regarding measurements. Besides that, join my sewing group on Facebook if you care to. You can follow me on Instagram. All that information will be down below. So thanks so much.